The U.S. has gained control of a Syrian town that was previously taken over by ISIS. And as a result, people living in that community are celebrating by burning their burqas and also cutting off their beards. Gaining control of Manbij has long been seen as critical because it was key to the extremist group's ability to move supplies from the Turkish border to the city of Raqqa, which is the de facto capital of the Islamic State. It also marks a key victory for the Obama administration because it shows that non-jihadist ground forces can make gains in Syria. Now, that's the, foreign policy component of it. But more importantly, take a look at how people are celebrating.
Hold on. Before we get to that, I just want to be absolutely clear. It's the support forces that we are supporting. So the Syria Democratic Forces, such as it is, are the ones that took control of that town with our assistance.
Yes.
So they're being liberated by other Syrians. So that is their perception. But what's most important in the video you're about to see is they just want to be done with ISIS, right? So their reaction to ISIS is much more relevant here than their reaction to whoever is liberating them. Okay, let's watch.
شو اسم هالمنطقة؟
هاي اسمها دوار السفينة. هاي دوار السفينة. كل دوار حطوا صليب. إذا أي شغلة إذا كان بحجة إنه كفر بيحطوه بيقتلوه بيقطعوا راسه. بيعدموا الناس هون. وبيقتلوهم. وكله إعدام. وكله ظلم. كله ظلم 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 ليوم الظلم.
الحمد لله. شو حاسة؟
الحمد لله فرحانين اخوي. فرحانين كيفين الحمد لله والله خلصنا من محمد. الحمد لله. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل علينا الله ونعم الوكيل. انا اقول مرضان انهزمت بتشن.
من اذان الشيخ نزلونا من البنايات من اذان الشيخ.
الله بحييكم لك انتم اولادنا انتم ابطالنا انتم دم قلبنا انتم عيوننا انتم لك روح يا داعش
هبدا والله بطريقه وهبدا بشويش بس حاس فرح والحمد لله.
شو صاير لإيدك؟
والله قطعوا لي اياه.
مين قطع لك اياه؟
الدواعش.
ليش؟
قال سرقت موتور.
So Daesh is another word for ISIS. And so what I found interesting there is look at how many times they say thank God or thank Allah, right? And so obviously their interpretation of Islam is vastly different than the people who had persecuted them and cut off their hands and their heads. And that's why the guy, screams about injustice, injustice, injustice. The woman kind of faints there in a dramatic display there. But they are so elated. So to the simpletons in the West, the right-wingers like Trump who think, oh, Islam, it's all the same.
Right.
Like I can't make a distinction. Well, obviously it's not all the same to these people. They're not all extremists or potential extremists. There are women there who are all, their heads are covered. They're almost everybody you saw there thanked Allah, right? Deeply religious, but their interpretation of religion is very, very different than ISIS. And they could not be more relieved. I mean, their town is shattered, as you saw in the background. But they're like, shattered or not, thank God the Syrian Defense Forces came in and got rid of ISIS. Now, show some of the pictures. The men started cutting off their beards immediately because ISIS wouldn't let them cut off their beards. And you could tell, I mean, look at the joy in their eyes, right?
He's like, damn, it's hot up in here. I gotta get this thing off my face.
Yeah, have you ever been in Manbij? I don't know, I haven't. Anyway, there's a woman burning her burqa. So even if you might have a hijab or you might cover your head, they did not, the people, there's a woman smoking.
This is my favorite picture.
So they didn't allow people to smoke. So as soon as they left, she's like, oh,
I gotta light up.
Somebody give me a cigarette, right?
Yeah, this is probably the only time I applaud someone for smoking. Right? Because it's a political statement more than anything else.
Yeah.
So I love this because, look, I think that the vast majority of people understand that there are various interpretations of religion in every religion, right? Be it Judaism or Christianity or Islam. I think that the people who just straight up dislike Muslims want to simplify them and make it seem like they're all terrorists and they're all extremists. Those are just, the bottom of the bottom in society, the lowest of the low, and they don't really matter. Donald Trump is a representative of that. But these are people that are representative of the refugees, those who are trying to flee the persecution and the death and the destruction in their own countries. And so, there are all these European countries who have accepted them with open arms. And I wish that the U.S. was a little more open to it, of course, with state safeguards in place to make sure that you don't accept the wrong people into the country. But we have those safeguards in place, right? We have all of those tests and questionnaires and everything, the background checks to make sure that we're accepting refugees who did face persecution in their own countries into our country.
Yeah, and by the way, we have the toughest laws on the books anywhere in the world. It takes at least 18 months for refugees to get protection from the U.S. It is much quicker in the rest of Europe and in other places throughout the world, or I should say in Europe. And as you can tell, again, the wide variety of different Muslims, from no headscarf for probably a majority of the Turks and some other countries as well, to headscarves in a lot of places, to women here burning burqas because they said that's not the culture they grew up in. Everybody's got a different interpretation, a different culture within Islam. So that's why, the guys who just look at it in a black and white world, okay, it's either Islam or it's not Islam, and if it is Islam, it's dangerous, and let's ban them, etc., are really simpletons. But unfortunately, Anna, they might be the bottom of the bottom, but it's a significant bottom because Donald Trump's got about 45% of the country that appears to be on his side, and it's not like they don't know that this is what Donald Trump stands for.
No, I get that. And that's probably the most depressing part of this election, right? But I think a lot of that is due to the influence of the media fear-mongering about Muslims in general, right? They see all these terrorist attacks, and there's no critical thinking. I mean, we've seen the way the media covers those stories, right? It's all focused on, oh, it's Muslim religion, it's Islam, this is radical Islamic terrorism. And so there's no discussion about the variations within the religion. There's no discussion about how the vast majority of people who are impacted negatively by ISIS are Muslims themselves, right? And so you just have to go out there and combat that kind of misinformation with actual information, with facts, and hope that it'll get through to the majority of the country.
If you're not a member of the Young Turks and you're not getting the whole 2-hour show ad-free, you know what you're going to be thinking? Don't say I didn't warn you. tytnetwork.com/join. Go.